Good evening, and welcome to today's Tropics for May 20th, 2021. Please note, I'm not a meteorologist, and this video is just a collection of my thoughts and opinions about the storms to talk about. And for any decision making, please consult National Hurricane Center or your local officials. So, despite it only being May 20th, we've already got two storms to watch in the Atlantic. I guess it's a good thing that the tropical weather outlooks got moved up to May 15th. So first off, we've got Invest 90L, which has an 80% chance to form into likely subtropical cyclones that kind of drifts around and eventually southwest in the general direction of Bermuda. And this newer storm or disturbance that's in the Gulf of Mexico and that has a 20% chance to form. First off, let's look at Invest 90L. So this is a non-tropical low right now. You can kind of see the center of circulation. It is closed, but this is supposed to become a subtropical cyclone from being a non-tropical cyclone. So it's not really a question of whether it's closed like you'd see with a fully tropical cyclone or fully tropical disturbance, but rather is this low non-tropical or has it become subtropical or tropical? So that's a question. For now, it is still connected to some frontal features around, so it is not a tropical or subtropical cyclone yet, but it is trying to gain some more subtropical features while under relatively warm water and has high lapse rates, which allows for stuff like convection to get going. And then looking at the water vapor loop, you can see why this is going on. It's because there is a large upper low here that has kind of dropped down from the north in the past few days. And Invest 90L here is right here. And under that upper divergence in the eastern part of the upper low, and that's why you got some convection going here, because with those high lapse rates and the upper divergence, it's relatively easy to get some convection going. And this will also provide as some of the steering for Invest 90L, and that's why it's going to kind of loop around and then come down southwest towards Bermuda. And it's also why it can really get going in the first place. You can see in this area, it's pretty cool out there. It's quite a few degrees, or a few degrees below what you'd expect for some tropical development, except there is that upper low, and that's providing very cold conditions aloft, and again, high lapse rates, which is why there's convection that's able to fire in the first place. And the interaction with this upper low will be very important in how much the Invest 90L develops or even whether it does, and how strong it can get. Because while it remains on this side of the low, which it's expected to do, it'll be able to generate some convection with that upper divergence aloft and have rising air. And so while it disconnects from those frontal features and attempts to occlude and become subtropical, it's going to be in this sort of area of the upper low, and that'll allow for the convection to keep going. But there's one fail mode here, and that's if it kind of drifts around in this upper low and drifts towards the western side of the low, which it's eventually expected to do. But when it does that is the real question, because once that happens, it's going to be in an area of upper convergence, and that means you've got sinking air, so it's not going to be able to get any convection going. And if it gets there before it can fully become a subtropical cyclone, it probably won't form at all. And so that's why the National Hurricane Center says that the chance that it will have a hostile environment eventually towards the later part of the weekend or Monday. That's because it'll probably get into that upper convergence zone, and it will definitely start to weaken a lot, and that's when it'll likely dissipate. If somehow it manages to not do that, it's going to get caught up in this flow ahead of or south of this area of trophiness and a kind of frontal flow. And so then that means 90L will get caught up in that flow, and since it won't be an especially strong cyclone, that means it'll kind of get sheared out by that flow and become a trough. So by Sunday or Monday, it'll almost surely dissipate in some way or another, whether the upper convergence or it gets caught up in the flow, gets in cooler water, and generally get all the conditions that are supporting it right now will be gone eventually by then. And however, whatever happens, it is still relatively strong in terms of wind. It has 40 knot winds, and it could become a bit stronger before it actually transitions into a subtropical cyclone. And since it might make a close pass to Bermuda, that means there might be some high winds in that area. And there's a tropical storm watch from the Bermuda Weather Service. So definitely, if you are in that area, be prepared for some higher winds as a result of Invest 90L and the surrounding upper, low, and kind of disturbed weather. Now let's take a look at that system in the Gulf of Mexico, and this is the kind of the remnant of a mesoscale convective vortex that was over Texas yesterday, and it still has some of that vorticity left over, and that's why it has a chance to get going. It's not convectively impressive right now. This kind of main area here that has some mid-level spin has almost no convection here. There is some colder kind of cloud tops, but this is all mostly cirrus cloud, so it's not convectively active in that area. So it's not going to form, obviously, in the immediate future, but if it can get some going, then that's its chance to form. Again, it's only a 20% chance, and it's going to be hitting Texas anyway on Saturday or around that time, so it doesn't have much time to get going, but if it can get going, then there is, again, that small chance for it to be a tropical cyclone before it makes landfall. And you can see where the convective area is, not so much in that area where the vorticity is, but where you have that kind of convergence between the strong subtropical ridge flow and weaker flow. You've got that elongated area of thunderstorms. So if you can kind of join these two up or something like that, and then that is its chance to become some sort of cyclone. Conditions aren't perfect, though. You've got this area of dry air to the south, and that will further inhibit convection, along with the kind of lower lapse rates that aren't allowing it to get going. Here, you can see here that that mid-level vorticity is in the Gulf of Mexico right now, and that will kind of serve as the locus to potentially make it into a cyclone if it can get some convection going over it. Conditions aren't the best, but there is some decent model support, and that's one reason why it's been put on the tropical weather outlook at 18 hours out. So that is actually closer to 12 hours away from when I'm recording this video. See, the shear actually isn't too bad. It depends where it is, because that makes a big difference. There's some stronger shear if it forms further, if you get some of that strengthening further northwest. But if it's further southeast, there's a bit lower shear. I'll get to that in a minute. But the shear isn't too high. And with the strong flow out of the southeast anyway, that will get kind of canceled out. So it might not look as high as you see on here. And there's this drier air that might wrap in. That's what happens in the GFS, and it kind of gets it going further northwest. So that's why the GFS has been pretty weak with it, but it has actually gotten something going. This little kind of area of convection, but again, or not convection, vorticity. And it is weak, but we'll have to see, because there are some stronger models here. You can see the Euro model. It's a lot more gung-ho with this, and actually has possibly a legit cyclone here. That's further southeast, and going back to that point about the shear, if it's further southeast, it has even weaker shear to deal with as it comes up to northeast or northwest. So if it can get something going further to the southeast and start spinning up, we might see higher chances of it getting going. But I'll definitely have to see, and kind of it's a definitely a short term sort of thing. So you might see it spin up quite quickly. But as it approaches the Texas coast, it's probably going to weaken anyway because it is still May, and you have waters that are too cold to really support much tropical development or strengthening. And unlike Invest 9DL, it's not really around much cold or very cold upper level temperatures, so it's going to start suffering from cold water and probably uh, no matter what, weaken and shed some of its convection as it gets into that area. But we'll definitely have to see if it can get something going in the next 12 to 24 hours, because that is the period when it's going to have some conditions that aren't the worst for tropical development. So again, we'll have to see. But no matter what, it's going to bring another pulse of rainfall into Texas, and that's an area that really doesn't need it, because especially further east, because they have been hit by a lot of rain recently. So no matter if development or anything occurs or not, there it will be likely flash flooding or flooding in general, and the main risk with this will be the rainfall more than anything else. Otherwise, uh, it is still early May, so there's a whole lot else to watch, or late May, so that means there isn't a whole lot to watch at the moment. If you have any questions or comments about my video, please let me know. Thanks for watching.